joining us now is OjyOkpe, whose stories trending around the world.
I guess who's back? Dr. Abati, how are you this morning?
Well, I went to your other country.
You went everywhere, from London. You know this is what you do to me when I come from London to New York. Please, how is Donald Trump? Did you meet him?
No, talk about the weather. How do you people cope with that kind of...
I don't know. My daddy has been trying to come back.
Winter.
Yes, it's very cool. It's a very, very harsh weather during winter. How are you? We miss you. Your fans are excited. Welcome back, Dr. Abati.
To be back.
Well, all right. Well, good morning, Ayomide, my Ayomide. How are you this morning?
Doing great.
They don't understand us. Good morning, Rufy on fire. How are you this morning? Yes, Chief of Umukwata. That's the one that I like. Have you heard the latest title? This young man has given. Can you please, which one is that one again? He has to explain it to me.
Also,
well, all right.
aka the Obasa of Lagos.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Policymaker.
Well, all right. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending. As today marks former President Olusegun Obasanjo's 88th birthday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has paid a special tribute to the elder statesman who he says has made enormous contributions to Nigeria's development and whose life for the past 6 decades is woven deeply into the fabric of Nigeria's society. I'll read part of President Tinubu's statement. He wrote, "Out of office, only a few will deny that the former president continues to wield considerable influence among the political elite at home and is well regarded abroad, where he is an ambassador of global peace and a troubleshooter. His tireless efforts in conflict resolution, advocacy for good governance, and dedication to Pan-Africanism through institutions like the African Union and the United Nations are testaments to his statesmanship, sometimes controversial. Former President Obasanjo's regular intervention in national affairs have helped shape public policies and acted as a check on leadership. I thank General Obasanjo for his onerous contributions to Nigeria. I commend him for his statesmanship and leadership. At 88, the former president is still gaining strength. I pray that God Almighty will grant him the grace and strength to live for more years so the nation and Africa can continue to benefit from his wisdom and knowledge. On behalf of the government and the people of Nigeria, I extend heartfelt congratulations to this great patriot. Happy 88th birthday, President Obasanjo." Well, you know, we discussed, we took a clip from his fancy party at the Delborough Hotel over the weekend. It was beautiful. There were dignitaries there, including Oni of Ife, yes, and all the former presidents and vice presidents of Nigeria. Kudos to Olusegun Obasanjo. And I love the fact that the president paid such a glowing tribute, given the fact that, you know, they've had these relations for open letters for a while, really quickly.
I'm sorry, it might be my woolens. Yes. Are you telling me that Olusegun is 2 years older than Obasanjo? Is that what you are telling me?
Well, all right.
You can ask.
No, that's not the conversation.
You know how they do it. No, President Obasanjo himself has had cause to make it clear that at the time he was born, there were no records.
Okay.
Those were those days when they used to use a charcoal to write date of birth on the walls. You know, and these walls were made of, you know, some ancient materials. The date could have disappeared. So he arrived at an estimate. But what, you know, you can establish is that I thought Professor Shoyinka was once quoted as saying that when he was a young man in Abeokuta, they used to call President Obasanjo Brother Segun. So how will Brother Segun now be younger than somebody who used to call him brother? But in any case,
so is it Wawules or not Wawules?
This is neither here nor there. The emphasis, as we had pointed out earlier, is about the contribution of President Obasanjo to Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and his preeminence on the global stage as one of the most important political figures and intellectual figures of the 20th and the 21st centuries. All
right. Well, we at Horizon News also congratulate former President Olusegun Obasanjo. Happy 88th birthday. Well, all right. We'll take another story. Seyi Tinubu, son of Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday evening joined many Kano residents to break the third day of Ramadan fast. Well, during the occasion, Seyi Tinubu unveiled a feeding program for the less privileged in the state as part of his renewed hope youth engagement initiative aimed at supporting vulnerable groups, including persons living with disabilities. Let's take a look. Well, this was so beautiful to see. Yes. On Tuesday, Seyi led his renewed Hope Youth Engagement team on a courtesy visit also to Kaduna State. Well, during the visit, Governor Ubasani promised to propose the creation of a Ministry of Youth Development to the Kaduna State Executive Council. The governor praised Seyi for his humility and nationwide engagement with youth across different tribes, religions, and political affiliations. I mean, I think I love this family. I would say in terms of the sort of philanthropic efforts, philanthropic work that they've been doing. I mean, I love to see that, Seyi Tinubu is organizing his Renewed Hope initiative right there, especially during this Ramadan season. But there's been a lot of reactions, following the story. I'd like to also just quickly take one of them before I come to you. Right. We saw during that event, Kano-based musician Dauda Rara, who released a new song in support, who released a new song in support of President Tinubu. The video has since gone viral. Let's take a look. We now have a new song. We used to have On Your Mandate, We Shall Stand. They did sing it. You're actually right. And you were saying Ra is one of the biggest influential singers in the North. Well, can we just quickly play that On Your Mandate song that they actually did sing during that event before we come back for a discussion?
On your mandate we shall stand. On your mandate we shall stand. On your mandate. We shall stand on your mandate. We shall stand on your mandate. We shall stand on your mandate. Bola on your mandate. Bola on your mandate. We shall stand. Thank you.
That was quite symbolic. I mean, that was a NNPP party member who he actually made to sing On Your Mandate session. Again, congratulations to Seyi Tinubu and all his works.
It's interesting you mentioned the governor is not an APC member. So maybe is this an indication? But it's a very powerful statement from Seyi Tinubu. Like you said, he and his, the First Lady have been quite big on charity.
Absolutely.
I recall that in 2024, he donated 500 million and then 100 million naira to Borno State and some institutions in Borno State as a result of some of the, disaster, as part of disaster relief there. And now, as part of Ramadan, I have to say that for Muslim faithfuls, Ramadan is a very important time for them, not just as a fasting period, but also as a time to be very generous and to give. It's part of the 5 pillars of Islam. And so this is what he was demonstrating there by going to the north. And I think also, if you're looking at the political slant to it, in recent times, there have been talks around the unpopularity of the president in the north. If you recall, El-Rufai had come out to say that, who's from Kaduna State, had come out to say that President Tinubu was very unpopular in the north and they wouldn't vote for him again. So to see this gesture by his son is that he's trying to reach out to the young people there, the older people there, and they seem to, quite like what he's done. So well done to him. But all we always ask for, of course, is always an audit of just where the money is coming from, where the donations are coming from. I know he's a businessman, but also be interested in the spirit of transparency for Nigerians to know about that. But in terms of gesture, being able to support the most people in need, that's fantastic. But even further than that, I'm hopeful that Nigerians would also ask that there'll be a sustainable way of taking people out of poverty in the North, not just through handouts, but actually programs that are truly empowering for the people in the North.
Very well said, Ayo. I love that. Well, Dr. Abati, I'll come to you on this story now. Well, in another development, as the 2027 election cycle approaches, the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Ali Pate, has declared that he will be ready to serve the people of Bauchi State. The minister disclosed this during a live television interview, highlighting the need for members of the All Progressives Congress to unite in order to displace the People's Democratic Party in the state. Let's take a look.
I think we are very closely connected with the grassroots in the state. And I think the issues facing the state are very clear. But it will not come to be if the party is not united. And my singular focus is to unify APC in Bauchi, to support the president to achieve what he is trying to achieve now, and also what comes off in 2027. Now, as to what happens at the state level, and I hope that the state stakeholders will align so that we have a successful alignment between the president's success and also what happens at subnational level. So yes, over time, over the next several months, we'll see where it lands. I'm ready to serve, but it's also with a mission to develop the state, but also to develop our country. So I have not made a determination one way or the other.
All right, Dr. Abati, I mean, we see Ali Pate here wanting to, serve the people, even though he's not confirmed 100% because he said that he is, still working on President Tinubu's, all of his assignments with President Tinubu. But, one of the reasons is because there was this, sort of war of words between the Bauchi State Governor as well as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, who actually had accused the State Governor, saying something about North and South divide. There was that accusation being bandied around. But we also know that the State Governor has been quite critical of the Tinubu administration.
Okay, I know Dr. Ali Pate. He was part of our government, the Jonathan administration. He went on, returned to professional work in the United States, and he came back, and he has remained in the governance arena. He's a very competent person, a decent human being. And that's why, he continues to be recalled from diaspora, one of those diaspora persons who have returned home to make a contribution. So if he says, well, he would like to serve his people in Bauchi State, I think it's a very legitimate ambition. He has capacity. We talk about leadership recruitment. So he's a capable person, no doubt about that. But that's at the personal level. At the political level, now, the major concern that experts, students, the commentariat will be the fact that this attempt by the APC, by leaders of the APC, to be moving in the direction of creating a one-party state. You recall that Dr. Ganduje, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, that's his name, right? Some people call him another name. After the Ondo governorship election, said, they are going to capture all other states, that may belong to other political parties. Well, could that also be what is playing out with regard to Bauchi State, which is, at the moment, a PDP state?
Right.
And you have Bola Ahmed, our colleague, used to be a reporter at Trumpet newspaper, and rose through the ranks and went into politics. So he's a journalist like us. So now Pate, says he too would like to be governor of Bauchi State. I hope the contest is not about, APC saying, they want every state and they would like APC to be everywhere. But at the level of ambition, I think it is legitimate. The third point is that it will appear that this is 2025. Already, the politicking has started. they sung continuity for Tinubu. They moved from your mandate will stand. Now the song has started, continuity. So technically, it will appear that the campaign for 2027 has started. Now the Nigerian people, the ones that we're concerned about, have we been well served for the vote that, the voting process that we had in the previous general election? Have they completed many of the projects? Are there concrete things to point to before we begin to talk about continuity and the politics of state capture?
Absolutely.
Because that's how Professor Pate to me defines it,
well
the
said.
Politics of state capture,
Well
which
said.
may not be in the interest of the average Nigerian.
Absolutely. Well said. We'll take another story now. As the debate on gender disparity and the role of young women in Nigerian politics takes center stage, First Lady Senator Oluremi Tinubu has called for the support for a bill seeking to create special seats for women in the National Assembly. The bill, which seeks to address women's underrepresentation in politics, was sponsored by the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, and has passed its second reading in the House of Representatives, while Senate President Godswill Akpabio has also backed the bill. Speaking during a visit from a delegation of the UK Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Akpabio assured that the 10th Assembly will back the legislation. The delegation sought to understand the Senate's stance on the proposed law. Well, in the meantime, reactions have trailed comments made by Senator Florence Ita-Giwa right here on Arise News after she faulted Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's sexual harassment claim, saying that once women become senators, they can't be sexually harassed. One of the reactions was a 2018 video of award-winning writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, where she talked about how gender roles are assigned and continue to be perpetuated. Let's take a look at that video before we come back for a discussion.
I find it quite infuriating to hear people, men and women, who respond to a woman's story of harassment with questions like, why is she coming out now? Why didn't she report it right away? I knew that the world did not give to women the same dignity that it gave to men. I was aware of how much the socialization of women was focused on men. Don't wear a miniskirt so that men will not rape you. We should change laws that diminish women, but changing mindsets is even more important. We should enact policy that supports women, but changing cultural attitudes is even more important.
Why did we teach girls to aspire to marriage, but we didn't teach boys to aspire to marriage? So a man would be called confident, but a woman would be called arrogant. A man would be strategic, a woman would be manipulative. A man would be a leader, a woman would be controlling. The behavior is the same. What is different is the body exhibiting that behavior. So I began to see that when people judged a woman for being aggressive or ambitious or annoying, it really wasn't the qualities of ambition or aggression that they were judging. It was actually women that were being judged.
Absolutely on point. I thought it was important to highlight that absolute remarkable comment from Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie on the role of gender and gender inequality, how it plays in women in politics as well. Rufai.
I said the exact same thing, if you remember, here yesterday, that I'm not surprised that it is another woman that will come and berate a woman for speaking out. Because society has so much programmed them. It's always the woman that takes the fall in society. She's always the one not behaving well in the marriage. She's always the one there's something wrong with. She can never be right in all of this. This case has happened now. Nobody's calling for investigation. A senator came here and said, why was she following the Senate president on a tour? And that was a calculated attempt to be able to twist Natasha's own side of the story. So it's a cultural thing. And a lot of women that support this aberration, no, they are victims of society already. So they've twisted their mindsets. And that's why you hear what she said yesterday, that even if you're high up there, you can't be, that once you get to the Senate, you can't be sexually abused or you can't be sexually harassed. So it also goes back to the point of, Yeah, some people will argue that things like affirmative action, put some seats, is good. But I think it's tokenism. Except we get to the point where we can have a cultural shift that can really accept women as very viable players in the grand scheme of things in society, we have not arrived. So we can do tokenism from today till tomorrow. And that's why I keep saying Rwanda might not be a good example. Like, I give kudos to them for what they did, how they were able to bring women into the polity. We need to impress upon that culture.
Absolutely.
How do people change culture? Thomas Isodore Noel Sankara in the 70s, in the 80s, when he took over Burkina Faso, there was also that problem. But he enforced it by ensuring that there were days where the men went to do shopping for the women. There were days where women's rights were respected. There were days where women too also held positions. We need to deliberately work at changing that culture of misogyny.
Absolutely.
And making the one man ahead and denigrating women if we want to move the society forward.
Ayo.
Very quickly, thank you so much for sharing that video by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, forever speaking on behalf of women and speaking the realities of women. And I'm glad that there's a voice, a female voice, who's also telling the reality of a lot of women about how every time you hear, many times when you hear about sexual harassment, the first thing is, what did you do?
Yes.
So as if to make it seem that the woman must be complicit for the reason why she was. It's not in all cases. Then to the seats where the Senate president, first of all, the wife of the president, is asking that one seat is created in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, making a total of 74 in the House. I think beyond the seats, as we've seen in the last few days, it's not just about beyond the seats, it's the kind of women that are elected into those positions that matter even more than creating those seats.
Dr.
Very quickly on gender policy. In 1995, there was the Beijing conference. Arising from the Convention against for the elimination of discrimination against women, CEDAW. We had Beijing +5, we had Beijing +10. There was also the Maputo Protocol. All of that about centering women properly in the political decision-making process across the world. Nigeria participated in all of those processes, but Nigeria is far behind. Now, Nigeria's population, 50% women, but in terms of political representation, the National Assembly today, we have less than 4% of Nigerian women in that place. Politicians have said, oh, we will give women opportunities and all that, but what dominates is a patriarchal system.
Yes.
Now, a few years back, I think in 2020 or so, Nigeria came up with a national gender policy. That Nigerian gender policy talks about 35% affirmative action for Nigerian women.
Absolutely.
Now they've not, implemented it. Nigerian women have had to go to court. That case is hanging somewhere in the Court of Appeal. Dr. Akiode Afolabi and others, pursuing it, saying the national gender policy of Nigeria must be implemented. Now this the new thing that the lawmakers are bringing. They say they want affirmative action. Well, good idea, but a gender policy already exists in this country. And we have countries like Senegal that has a 50-50 policy. We have a country like Rwanda that has a 30% policy. Other countries that have achieved up to 42.7%. Why is Nigeria far behind?
That's the major
This
question.
is an issue that we have to address. And that's why in politics, patriarchy, dissenters Nigerian women. And it's unfortunate that that is the case.
Absolutely. I've well said, you all. I'd like to thank you really for, adding your voice to this sort of, conversation. And especially kudos to our First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and of course, Godswill Akpabio, who has also backed that bill. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow. Welcome back, Dr. Ruben Abati.
Thank you.